The quad feeds, knew I'd be talking about them. It's always requested, and it is a seasonal challenge again to get 3 of them. I've got a few things you should know, but to start with the main point, I'd say the easiest way to hunt for these in Cold War is with a shotgun on Hardcore Nuketown. Not a huge surprise there. Hardcore, small map, except maybe you haven't tried the shotgun. I do think that makes things easier. I was running a spaz, maxing out the range, most importantly, the biggest thing for hardcore. You might be surprised by the easy one-shot kill range. Also had the 12-round tube, because I'm rarely ever going to reload, don't want to run out while spraying. I found maxing out sprint to fire with the no stock to be very helpful, often being able to shoot first even if I'm sprinting, which is life or death in hardcore. And wider hip fire is totally fine, since that sort of just makes aiming more forgiving, unless it gets so bad where you can miss what you're aiming at far away. So I did tighten it up again with a laser. I still like a somewhat controlled cone, but that's debatable. Next best weapon choice I think is the AK, so I do have that on the class too. I like being quiet to not draw too much attention, but I hate having low bullet velocity, especially for hardcore. Even on a small map, it can feel like a noticeable lag sometimes, and you can die before your bullet hits your target. Then I just wanted fast ADS and sprint to fire. The AK is great for the consistent one taps without being too sluggish. If you're accurate with it, then it can do the same job as the shotgun, except at any range. It might especially help you with crossing the map to get to the enemy side, since there are several long sightlines on Nuketown. The strategy component here is basically try to get a couple kills as you cross over to the enemy side of the map, not to be part of the feed, but because you can then quickly push into their spawn to clean up all the people respawning. If you and your team were able to kill a handful of enemies at a similar time, which should be happening pretty frequently on Nuketown, then you can jump into the spawn as they all pour out together. I found that to be a surprisingly consistent recipe for success. Killing people as they come out of spawn is really the only way you can have any amount of control over enough people grouping up to get a quad feed. Ultimately, there is still the luck element to this challenge. First, to have 4 people in close enough proximity, and then the luck to not have your feed get interrupted by someone else getting a kill. For every example I have of a feed, I could show a handful of near feeds where I got 3 and couldn't find a 4th, or got 4 but it got interrupted by someone in the feed because it could have been faster. Overall though, I found this quite consistent. I got 9 quad feeds in roughly 2 hours. Didn't feel the need to finish that career challenge because I may get some naturally, and decent chance there will be more quad feeds in a future season. I can always come back to that class when I need some more. The shotgun makes the aiming part much more forgiving. It was helpful to have the AK, but I think I only actually got 1 feed using it. A whole lot of very close ones, but being able to accurately run and gun with the shotgun is another huge advantage it has, so you can find the people faster. But hey, here's some guy in the kill cam getting another AK feed. Anyway, I'm sure I was fairly lucky with mine, but at the same time, it didn't feel that way because there were so many opportunities. I felt surprisingly in control. I knew I could get a couple kills in mid, or maybe I would see lots of people die in the kill feed, and I knew if I rushed through their building and checked their spawn, I could probably get 4 kills. So even when I was going a bit dry, it wasn't frustrating to hunt for them because I felt like I was always close. Like this was an actual good method that removes a good chunk of the luck element. Can never fully escape it, but here I got a couple feeds pretty much back to back in that game. I don't want to make it sound like a walk in the park. It isn't. But I'd like to try to ease your quad feed anxiety. This is very doable. You just need to believe in yourself. Go in there confident. Yeah, at this point I'm just talking to show more examples. Another thing I wanted to touch on while we're here, speaking of luck-based challenges, I've been asked about the Collaterals several times. And I mean, it's not like there's much I can possibly say about this, and I want to dedicate a video to it. Enemies need to line up. That part's luck. The one thing I can say is that if you're only thinking about sniper collaterals, well, I think that's the much harder, luckier way. Sometimes even when it looks like you deserve one, it doesn't work out. You may get them over time if you snipe a lot, but for the collateral medal, all you need is 1 shot, 2 kills. And a shotgun shot counts as 1 shot. So just have a wide spread in hardcore, and you're gonna get a fair amount of collaterals rushing around on a small map like this. I happened to get 8 while doing this quad feed method. So keep that in mind if you were asking about that challenge. Now, a couple other things to know about quad feeds. To answer some questions people have, killstreaks. I didn't mention them. That's because you've probably noticed by now, killstreaks don't count like they did in Modern Warfare. And that's because, say it with me, Treyarch challenges are often tied to medals. You need to see that quad feed medal. And this is exactly like BO4, where killstreaks don't award regular medals, like multi-kills and, payback or whatever else. They only award their own unique killstreak medal. So that is too bad. Otherwise, you'd be much more likely to pick up passive quad feeds here and there whenever you call in a missile or a controlled streak of some kind. I thought the War Machine might be an exception because it's sort of an in-between. You do get the killstreak medals like Bloodthirsty because it kind of counts as gun kills, but not really. And yeah, you don't get any multi-kill or quad feed medals, only the War Machine stuff like Bounce House. But even if it did work, I'd honestly still prefer the hardcore shotgun. It's easier to use, and you have infinite tries with it. So the best streaks you could run are just support stuff, the spy plane, and I guess harp if you can. It is amazing to have. If we move to talking about other maps, like if Nuketown maybe isn't around, having a spy plane up is an absolute game changer, since the spawns aren't always as obvious to read as Nuketown. I guess having 5 years of Nuketown experience helps. But there are a number of fairly small maps in the game where it's totally possible to push a spawn at the right time and get a feed in the same way as the Nuketown strategy. Crossroads Strike is one that comes to mind. I did have some success there. Checkmate, I had lots of what felt like close attempts. Whenever that radar's up, it feels very doable, just very hard. Even Cartel, which is not small, but it has a very deep spawn, so if a bunch of people die at a similar time, it can actually be feasible to mow people down as they come out of there. Next, I could talk about core mode viability. I mean, hardcore is the obvious play here, especially in a higher time to kill game. Good luck gunning 4 people down in core reliably without one of them shooting you back. A lot of guns might run out of ammo in the mag before you can even do that. Yeah, in core, you're counting on a lot more luck to get any feeds. Maybe you're all about sniping though, or otherwise, something like the AUG or M16 are a couple weapons where it actually seems reasonable. Would not recommend it. Alternatively, you can just be really good, as you can see here. Calculating, 2 people on the objective, enemies to my left, easy game. That was 100% skill, all pre-planned, no luck involved whatsoever. But if you are not at that echelon of skill, yeah, just play hardcore. With game modes, Nuketown is totally the choice right now. Nuketown Dom is especially nice when it comes up to make the spawns even more predictable, but I found it didn't matter very much. In the future, if they end up adding a headquarters type thing, that can be really nice since it queues everyone up and respawns them all at once in a wave. But even more than that, if they add infected, which tends to happen at some point every year, being the last alive in there can mean some easy quad feeds since everyone's rushing you and there's no one to interrupt. We'll see depending on how it gets implemented. For now though, we've got Nuketown. Final thing, I wanted to clear up some confusion, or maybe try to future-proof this video if anything changes. Remember that these seasonal challenges can be completed in Cold War multiplayer or in Warzone. I've also seen some confusion where people think maybe you can do these in Modern Warfare multiplayer too, which they didn't say, but it seems reasonable at first because you can boot up the multiplayer and all the challenges are still here. It's annoying how they don't gray out what you don't have unlocked. But anyway, it says multiplayer and Warzone, so you'd think, okay, I can just play the multiplayer that I have open right now then, right? This is all stuff that looks like it can be done in either game. It even mentions UAVs in this challenge as opposed to spy planes, alright. Well, I couldn't progress anything in Modern Warfare multiplayer, which is what I expected, but too bad. And kinda sloppy that they're in here as if you can do them when you can't. I think they should be more clear about that. It must be annoying for people who don't have Cold War for this to say Warzone and multiplayer challenges, but nothing progresses in multiplayer. If they were ever changed to work in this multiplayer, then you could come here for quad feeds. If they also brought back hardcore shipment, then it'd be easy peasy. Again, with a shotgun, AK type of loadout, and also score streaks would count again, but you can't do that currently. Plus, I guess if you want to work on the career 25 quad feeds in Cold War, you should do them there anyway. But one other thing, if that changed, it would be awesome for this proxy mine challenge. That's what I was most interested in trying, because the proxy mine in Cold War sucks ass. It's a field upgrade you have to wait for, it's easy to avoid all damage by crouching at the obvious sound, and as if Flak Jacket wasn't already the best perk in the slot, Perk Greed is completely free, so everyone has it on. It's just horrible. If you could use Modern Warfare's proxy mine lethals for this, that would be fantastic. And I even tried hopping into Plunder, got proxy mine kills, because if they brought back Rumble, that would honestly be worthwhile for doing that challenge. But nope, didn't count. Other stuff did progress in Warzone as it should, but not that. Clearly it was meant for the Cold War field upgrade version of the proxy mine, unless it's bugged or I'm doing something wrong. I doubt they're going to include Modern Warfare multiplayer, but if that could be changed to include Warzone proxy mines, that would be nice, because it's a pretty bad description otherwise. Anyway, we're way off quad feeds. That's enough talking about other random little challenges. There are plenty of those I get asked about that I just don't have anything to say to dedicate a video to. Yeah, sorry, some challenges are just hard or self-explanatory. There's no awesome method that makes it magically better. And I hate horrible tip videos that spend the whole time repeating the same generic perk loadouts as if that's valuable or relevant challenge advice. Oh, so you're telling me I should use the Ninja and Ghost perks for this challenge. Wow, okay. Oh, for every challenge in the game, I should use that. Okay. Well, final thing to remember about these seasonal challenges is don't stress about getting them done in time, like the ribbons last year. They said these don't expire. As long as you unlock them by getting to level 200 in the next 50 days of Season 1, you can complete them at any time in the future to get your Season 1 mastery card. You could even wait for future seasons and maybe complete 2 seasons worth of quad feeds at the same time if you hate them that much. I know I'll probably be waiting to do most of this stuff, I just haven't been playing multiplayer much, as you can maybe tell. Best of luck hunting those, and with all your season challenges, thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.